Hello, welcome to Salstria. In today's lesson, we are going to solve an exam question which relates to quadratic inequality. This is the question we are going to solve. It says, solve the following inequality and express the solution in interval notation. Then you are given that x squared plus 5x plus 6 is greater than 0. The first thing we need to note from this question is that it has two sides. The left side where we have the expression, then the right side where we have 0. So if I have the left side, which is negative x squared plus 5x plus 6, we call that one an expression. But if any expression has the highest power as 2, then we call it a quadratic expression. So in this case, this is a quadratic expression. And then on the right side, we have 0. And the sign we put here in between is the one which will determine whether this is an inequality or it is an equation. And in our case, we have greater than, so of course, it is an inequality. But also, if we add less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, it will still be an inequality. But if we add equal sign, then it would change to an equation. Now, with that knowledge, we can be able to solve this question here. And the first thing we need to do is to eliminate this negative here so that it becomes easy to solve the whole inequality. And to do so, I just need to multiply everything in this whole inequality with -1. So it becomes, if I put in brackets, it will be -1 in brackets negative x squared, then plus 5x, then plus 6, then it's greater than 0 like that. And then from there, when I open the brackets, it will be negative 1 multiplied by negative x squared. It will be positive x squared because negative multiplied by negative is positive, then minus negative 1 multiplied by 5x, it will be minus 5x, because positive multiplied by negative is negative, then minus negative 1 multiplied by positive 6 is negative 6, because positive multiplied by negative is negative. And then this negative multiplied by 0 will still remain to be 0. And then every time we multiply an inequality with a negative sign, we change the symbol here. So if it was greater than, now it will become less than. First becomes our new inequality. And now, to solve it, we need to force it to mean an equation. And to do so, I just need to take this x squared minus 5x minus 6, but now instead of putting this inequality sign, I put it equal sign is equals to 0. So now it becomes a quadratic equation. So now this is the equation we are going to solve. Then later on, we'll make it an inequality again. Now from there, I need to look for two numbers so that when I sum those two numbers, their sum would total to the coefficient of x, which is -5. And then when I multiply them, the product would be equal to the coefficient of x squared multiplied by this constant here. So it will be 1 multiplied by -6, which is -6. Come to think of these two numbers, it will be -6 and 1. Because if I take -6 plus 1, then it will be -5. If I take -6 multiplied by 1, it will be -6. So now, with these two numbers, instead of writing this -5x here, I can just write it like -6x plus x, because -6x plus x is -5. So nothing changed. I just wrote this -5x as just -6x plus x. So now I can use this one and replace it here. So now it becomes x squared minus 6x and plus x, then minus our 6 here is equals to 0, like that. And now from there, I can group them into two parts, like that. Since from this first part, I can see x is common, so I can take it out like that, x into x, because if I take x multiplied by x, it will be x squared, then minus 6, because if I take 6 multiplied by this x squared, multiplied by this x, it will be 6x, then plus, I can take here 1 aside, because if I take 1 multiplied by x, it will be x, then minus 6, plus 1 multiplied by 6, it will be negative 6, is equals to 0. And now you see, x minus 6, then x minus 6 is common on both parts. So I just need to use one, I don't need to use both of them. So to use one, I can just combine this x with this 1, and it becomes x plus 1, that then x minus 6 is equals to 0. So up to that point, then it means either x plus 1 is equal to 0 or x minus 6 is also equal to 0. So if I say x plus 1 is equals to 0, and then again x minus 6 is equals to 0, then it means if I take this one on the other side here, it was positive, on the other side of the equal sign it will be negative. So now the new x becomes x is equals to negative 1. And the same thing, if I take this negative 6 on the other side here, on this side it was negative, on the other side it will be positive. Then it means x in that case will be positive 6, like that. So now we have the two solutions for x, which is negative 1 and positive 6. But remember, we were solving an equation here. Now we need to come back to an inequality. And where we left, we said we had changed the sign to less than here, because we had multiplied with a negative here. So up to that point, then I need to represent these two answers into a range so that it changes to an inequality. And to do so, I can just write, you see, x is common on both sides, so I can say x is less than negative 1, which is the smallest value here, then it's also less than positive 6, because in our case we had used the less than sign. So now from there, since I have this range, it means x can range from any value from negative 1, it can also be 0, it can be 1, it can be 2, it can be 3, 4, 5. But 6 is not inclusive, and also 1 is not inclusive, because we don't have the equality sign here. So from there, now that I have this range, to write it into interval notation, I just need to put in brackets, say negative 1, comma 6. That's how we solve this question, this inequality here. This is the final answer here.